This is episode 1 of Going Solo. So this is a weekly podcast for solopreneurs who want to make life and business work for them and not the other way around. I'm Knight Dutkewich. I am a corporate dropout turned business coach and someone who learnt the very hard way of what it actually takes to run a successful solo business. So each week I'll be breaking down the real strategies, mindset shifts, and yes, a little bit of woo-woo to help you build a profitable business on your terms, because it's not the market, it's not your toxic ex-boss, it's what's going on between your two ears. So today we're starting with the big one. Why most solopreneurs fail, because let's face it, they do. But you, my friends, are not most people, because by listening to this, you have me. And every week I shall be here to not only help you survive as a solo entrepreneur, but to thrive and do so with some passion, some compassion, some humour, and just a tiny bit of style. So here's the thing, the number of people starting small businesses has never been higher, which, if you ask me, is a fantastic thing. And most of those small businesses don't make it. The stats are pretty staggering. So we know that about 50% of all businesses will fail in the first 3 years. And by 10 years, you're talking 70%. And for solo entrepreneurs, I'm going to argue that the failure rate is even higher. Most solopreneurs don't make enough money to make it past 2 years in business. Now, why is that? Because as a solo entrepreneur, we don't have to just build the business, we are the business. There's no one holding us accountable. There's no sick pay. There's no steady paycheck. There's no built-in support system. It's all on us. And absolutely nothing brings us face to face with all of our unhealed bits and our deepest fears than working for ourselves. And I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying it because if you understand why people fail, you can make sure that you don't end up as one of the statistics. So today I'm going to talk to you about the 4 reasons solo entrepreneurs don't make it, and most importantly, how to avoid them. So reason number 1 that they don't make it past the first 2 years, and this is a really big one, is that they blend in and they aren't consistent. So this is really important because most solopreneurs, and you see them all over LinkedIn, Instagram, in your email feeds, they all sound like each other. They all sound the same as everybody else. They talk about helping people to live their best lives or helping entrepreneurs to thrive. Unless you are Tony Robbins or Mel Robbins and have that kind of audience and positioning, you won't be able to make money at that kind of nebulous level. When you sound like everybody else, nobody's got a reason in a very noisy market to choose you. So you need to be uber specific about what you do, who you help, the real pains and problem you solve. And most importantly, of all of the other options, why should people trust you versus other people saying the same thing? So you've got to sound different. The best way to be different is to be uniquely you. The beautiful thing about being a solopreneur is that you are your business. There is nobody else in the 8 billion people on the planet who thinks, feels, experiences life and the world like you do, and that is your differentiator. So the more you can lean into everything that makes you you and unique, and show up talking about real problems that people care about, the more you are going to become the only solution. And the second part to that kind of blending in is consistency. So A lot of the clients I start to work with come to me, and about 3 weeks in, they always have the same conversation, which is, I'm really surprised that I thought this would be exciting. And it's like, it is exciting, and it's also frustrating. You will feel jealous, you will doubt yourself, you will think about throwing in the towel 100 times a day. So when we think it is going to be easy, and it is, we underestimate the muscle and the strength that builds up in showing up consistently. It is not enough to show up once in a while and disappear. All of those people that you see sort of killing it with their email lists, with their LinkedIn engagements, they have been showing up consistently 5 days a week on LinkedIn for years, even when they felt like they had nothing to say. And that's exactly what I've done. And I did that because consistency builds trust. So it's not about being the best, it is about being there. Okay, so how do we avoid blending in and being inconsistent? So the first thing you want to do is you want to be really, really clear on what you help people with. So it's not, we don't want to talk about I help people live better lives, doesn't mean anything. You want to be really, really clear on exactly who you're helping, how old are they, where do they live, where do they hang out, what's keeping them awake at night. Your message needs to speak to a really specific audience and their most urgent problem. And this is one of the mistakes that I certainly made in the beginning, and lots of my people that come to me to work with me make, is that we kind of think that by going broad, by keeping our options open, we actually have a better chance of capturing a lot of people. I get the theory, in reality it is not true. People want to buy from experts, not generalists. So when you are a generalist, you are overlooked and you are lost in the noise. When you are the best at what you do to a very specific small niche, you then become an expert. People want to pay experts. So you really need to speak to one specific person. So think about who your dream client is, or your ideal client. What is keeping them awake at night? What is that transformation that they are desperately craving? What is that pain that they can't move past and is still showing up and holding them back in life? So you really want to use that to craft clear, consistent messages. And you've got to be consistent even when it's tough, and it will be tough. You have to commit to showing up regularly, whether that's through social media, whether it's through content or direct outreach with email lists or masterclasses. You don't need to necessarily show up every day if that's overwhelming for you, but you do need to commit to a cadence that you can maintain, and as an absolute minimum, no less than 3 times a week with high value insights. So you are much better off sending 1 email a week, posting 3 times a week with some really, really juicy content that helps solve a pain for your audience, than posting 5 times a week and spamming people with ChatGPT nonsense all the time on email. So less is more. People want value. They're craving value. Okay. So that's reason number 1. Reason number 2. The reason most solopreneurs fail is they don't know what problem they solve. Now this one is brutal because they think they do, but they don't. I have these conversations all the time. One of my party tricks is I can pretty much tell how much money you're making as a solopreneur in services by when you tell me what your niche is and who you help. If you tell me you are helping people get into flow and helping people find clarity, I'm going to guess you're not making very much money. If you tell me you are working with Gen X women who found themselves unexpectedly divorced and want to get their mojo back without having to eat food they hate or go to the gym too often, I suspect you're going to start making money. So you've got to be really, really clear on the problem that you solve. And again, this is where Tony Robbins and Mel Robbins and Brené Brown kind of, and even Simon Sinek to an extent, it's like they can be top level and general in their positioning. They have huge global audiences. You probably don't. So you cannot use if ever people are using the word dream life or create your dream life or cultivate your dream life, I'm going to guess you're probably not making very much money. So you want to be really, really specific. So don't sort of talk about helping people have a better life. Nobody knows what that means. Even sort of helping people feel more confident. You want to help women land 6-figure jobs in tech sales after a career break. One is a generalist, one is an expert. People want to work with experts. They want to feel like, we all feel like we're different and special. And we are dying for other people to see our differences and our uniqueness. And when somebody shows up and it feels like they are talking to us, that is very, very attractive. People will be drawn to you. Okay, so you want to use the language that your audience are using and that keeps them awake at night. And this is one of my biggest bugbears. It's so much business coaching. Nobody is lying awake at 2 o'clock in the morning wishing they could reframe their limiting beliefs, like make it stop. Nobody is lying in bed thinking, if only I could get into flow. Nobody's lying awake thinking, if only I knew my purpose in life, if only I knew my why. That's not how human beings work. They are awake because they are worried they can't pay their rent. Their mortgage is coming up. They have to go to work tomorrow with a job they hate. They are watching the clock tick closer to their next birthday and they still haven't lost weight or found that partner. Speak to their pain. Speak to their pain. The problem is when you are a coach and consultant, you are surrounded by other coaches and consultants who speak in the same way. That is not how human beings speak. Human beings don't speak about rewiring their limiting beliefs. Human beings speak about their boss being an idiot. Okay? Use their language. I could speak to you about that all day. And I will in another podcast. All right, so you want to be really specific about the problem you solve. Do not hide behind vague, coachy, consultant language. You want to really identify the pain. I'm talking like can't sleep, keep you awake, I'm about to vomit pain, and talk about it openly. It needs to be something urgent and tangible that they are looking to solve. If you can't find enough people to work with you, there is something wrong with your niche and your offer, and you are targeting people in not enough pain. Okay, so talk to your audience. Find out what they're struggling with. Use their words. Think about the big categories that people are willing to spend money on. They are wealth, health, love, or status. So if your niche and offering does not improve the amount of money someone makes, how healthy they are, their relationship status, or their overall kind of status and sense of self, you are doing the wrong thing, my friend. So you really want to sort of test different angles and see which ones resonates the most. Now, there is a really good trick that I teach my clients about that your ideal niche is who you were 3 to 5 years ago before you solved a massive pain. Okay, so that's how you can then position yourself with credibility. But I'm going to come to that in a couple of weeks. But for now, make sure you're talking about pain in the words your audience use. If you're using the word dreams, if you're using the word flow, if you're using limited beliefs, stop. Imposter syndrome. Nobody's lying awake in the middle of the night thinking, I feel like an imposter. They're not. They're worried about their mortgage, their marriage, their relationship, their boss, all those things. Okay. The third reason entrepreneurs fail is they can't sell and they don't talk about their offer enough. Now, this is something I can really relate to. I've been in business for myself for about 8 years. For the first 4 or 5 years, I would tell myself and anybody that listened, I hate selling. And guess what? Shockingly, I didn't sell very much. So that is not an unfamiliar story. So most solopreneurs love what they do, but they hate selling because we think it is sleazy. We think kind of used car salesman, kind of shiny suits. So we avoid it. But here's the thing. If you can't sell, you don't have a business. You are a volunteer. Now, if you want to work 30, 40, 50, 60 hours for yourself as a volunteer making no money, have at it. You probably don't. Okay. So you have to learn how to sell. Selling isn't about manipulation. It is about finding people in massive pain who you know you can help solve their problem, and being curious about whether they are wanting, willing, and able to fix it. It is about showing people how you can help them and making it easy for them to say yes. And really importantly for me, making it easy for them to say no and you to say no. So if you're not getting sales, it's usually because of two things. Your offer isn't clear or compelling enough, and you're probably not speaking to a narrow enough audience. Okay, so if you're not selling enough, go back, make sure you are speaking to a very, very specific narrow audience, and that your offer is a painkiller, not a vitamin, and it solves an immediate pain, and is very compelling in the language. Okay, and you need to talk about your offers a lot, just because, and this is one of the things I talk about my clients all the time, is they feel like they're repeating themselves. Not everybody is obsessed with us and our business as we are. Shocking, I know, it's true. If you aren't out there talking about the pains you solve, the results that you get, what it looks like when you make it to the other side, you will be lost in the noise of everybody else who is. So it is not enough to talk about your offers once or twice. You have to talk about it a lot. Okay. So what helped me with selling is really, I never ever to this day don't go looking, or in any conversation look to sell something. I look for people I like, people I think are cool, number one. I get bored really easily. I don't do futile. I am too old to work with people I don't particularly like on things I don't enjoy. So that's my first thing. I go looking for cool people. And then I look to see if any of those cool people have their own businesses and they're in pain. Okay, because that's what I do. I then see whether any of those cool people who have their own businesses and are in pain are curious about solving that pain. And that is it. And I just slowly over time build personal relationships with them. And it's really, really important that I attract, through my content, through showing up as me, through telling my story, I attract people in a specific pain that I know how to fix, because that's a pain I fix for myself. So for example, I work with solo entrepreneurs to help them hit consistent 10k months in their business as a minimum, and then scale from there. Because for the first few years in my business, I was working very, very hard and not earning very much money. So I understand that pain, that frustration of under earning, worrying about the mortgage, watching everybody else thrive while I'm like struggling. I know what that's like because I made it to the other side. I now speak to who I was 5 years ago when I was struggling. So because it is a pain I know how to solve, I have the receipts. I am simply, when I'm selling, looking for whether people want to help in solving that pain and whether they are willing and able. Because some people are willing to solve their pain, but if they don't have their money, they're not able to. And that's one of the reasons I do podcasts and things like this. So, and finally, and this is the most important part for me, is before I consider working with you and selling you anything, I make sure that I'm going to enjoy working with you. And I call this the elevator test. So whenever there is a potential client who is in pain, I know I could help them to the other side, they seem ready, willing and able. Before I will agree to offer for you to work with me, I kind of ask myself, if something happened and we were stuck in an elevator together, would I enjoy your company? If we're sharing a pea corner, how's this going to go? And if the answer is no, then we're not working together. And I will usually refer you to another fabulous person who I think you're more aligned with. Now, it doesn't mean I don't like you. It doesn't mean I don't think you'll be successful. It just means I'm not your fit and you're probably not mine. Okay? So talk about the pain you saw frequently. Don't expect people to remember you after one offer, one lead magnet, one post. 2025 is as noisy AF. You need to regularly remind your audience what you do, how you help, and why it matters. The more visible you are, the more likely someone will take action. Okay, that's number 3. The last one, number 4. So the fourth reason that solopreneurs fail is they expect overnight success and they do not factor in the emotional cost. And this, out of all of them, is the number one thing that takes most people out. They are drawn in to these posts and emails that say, you know, I launched my business and then 6 months later I was making $500,000 on a beach in Puerto Rico. It's probably not true. It's probably not true. And if it is true, highly unusual. Highly unusual. So when we expect to be making 6 figures from scratch in 6 months, we see somebody else's what they're presenting. Don't believe everything that's in the internet. We see what other people are presenting they're doing and kind of think, why am I not doing it yet? So there's something wrong with me. And what they don't see is the years and years of failing, tweaking, learning it took for the person to get there. So these days I earn about $30,000 a month US. And that's a very attractive story. When people come to me saying, I want to earn $30,000 a year, what I tell them is, that's great. It took me 6 years. Okay, so it doesn't happen overnight. Doesn't happen overnight. The hardest part of making money is really getting to the first 1,000, 5,000, and then 10,000. If you can get to the first $1,000 is the hardest as a solopreneur. Then it's the first $5,000 and then $10,000. Once you know how to consistently hit 10K months, the rest is relatively easy. And that's why I work with people to get them to 10K, because if you know how to earn 10K a month, you can just get the rest is easy. And most people expect it to come quicker than it does, and they're not prepared for the cost of success. So success is not free. It is not free. There is an emotional, a financial, a time, a relationship cost of success. The biggest one that gets in people's way, in my experience, is emotional. You will feel like a fraud. You will feel like an imposter. You will get ignored. Your masterclasses will bomb. Nobody will see your post. You will have people judge you. For the first few years of my business, I used to be in engineering, and I used to get a load of kind of thinly veiled passive aggressive hate mail from people telling me that I used to be kind of so credible and credible, and now I was kind of all rainbows and sunshines and what's happened to me. The cost of showing up as all of you, doing big scary things, going after goals, is trolls and freaks. People will judge you. It is a cost. You will put yourself out there and you will hear crickets. People will say yes to work with you and you will never hear from them again. Okay? You will be frustrated. You will be jealous. You will doubt yourselves in where you never thought you would. That, my friends, is completely normal. That is the price of doing something big. Most people aren't ready for that. They think that feeling bad means something's gone wrong. No. Success means handling all of it. If we are lucky, the human experience is 50% positive, 50% negative. It is all of it. It is all of it. The solopreneurs that make it are expecting the negative emotions. They have factored it into the cost they're willing to pay for their dreams. Okay, so how do you avoid failing because your expectations are too high and you're not expecting the cost? You set some realistic expectations. Success won't happen overnight. Okay, one more time. Success won't happen overnight. So instead of measuring your success by a kind of specific time frame or dollar amounts, focus on consistent efforts. Success is built over time, not in one kind of viral post or big launch. So I always encourage my clients to set your intentions first, way before goals. So how do you want your life and business to feel? Yes, it is great if you're making 10k, 20k, 30k, 40k a month. Fantastic. If you're anything like me, the money won't be enough and you need to feel joyful and peaceful and at ease and as though you're making an impact and that you have lots of flexibility and choice and you get to spend lots of time with people you love. So what are the energies that you'll lean into to guide you? So for me, mine are joy, peace and ease. Now, ease, not easy, because life isn't easy. So one of my intentions isn't for it to be easy, because it won't be, but ease. So ease for me is that everything I do is aligned with my intuition. If it isn't, I don't do it. Now we have to be careful because as humans we have evolved to survive, and sometimes that survival mechanism that kind of produces that fear, flight, freeze response feels like intuition. It's not intuition. So intuition comes from a place of deep knowing. Intuition is who we are without the fear and the ego. Okay, it's usually who we were before the world got in the way. Fear comes from thinking. So intuition comes from a place of knowing. Fear comes from thinking. And I'm going to go into that in lots and lots of other episodes. I will speak more about that. So you want to set what I call consensual goals. You want to know what that goal that you have for your business will cost you. So for example, I'm quite open with my goals. I want to earn $350,000 US in 2025, net, not gross. So in order for me to earn that amount of money, there are some things I am not prepared to do. I am not prepared to work more than about 25 hours a week. I'm 47. I get migraines, I've got 3 children and a husband and goats and parents. It's like, I'm cool. Don't want to work more than 25 hours a week. I don't want to work with people I don't enjoy. I won't work with people that I don't think are successful. And I know that if I want to earn that kind of money, I have to be rejected. I have to get negative feedback. I have to have clients ghost me. I have to have, I don't know, 4 sales calls for every one person that buys. I have to show up on camera when I'd really rather be sitting on the couch eating Doritos. So I know and understand all of the costs I'm prepared to pay to meet my goals. And my goal isn't about the money. My goal for me is about the freedom. I like to work 10 months a year. I like to be out on the ocean on a boat for the other 2 months. I factor in all of the costs. So you want to set your intentions, your consensual goals, and really making sure you are prepared to pay the price it will take to get there. Most of that price is negative emotion. And then you want to schedule that action into your calendar. I schedule my calendar 2 weeks in advance, and I have all of my do not book time in first, where you can't book time, and then I have room for my clients, and then I have kind of what I work on to grow my business. 2 weeks out. And then you want to make as many decisions as you can ahead of time, so that when you show up every day, you don't have to think about what you're doing that day or think about whether what you're doing is going to get you to your goals. But you do have to have the integrity, the discipline, and the self-love to follow through on your plan. So you want to break things down into really manageable steps, and recognize that success is messy. Messy, imperfect action is what takes you to your goals. You will never feel ready. It will never feel like the right time. You will never feel like you know enough. The trick is to do it anyway. Okay. So you've got to get comfortable with negative emotion. So an emotion is simply a vibration in the body. It is not going to kill you. It just feels like it will. There is no way around negative emotion. Ignore everybody that tells you to reframe your thoughts. That's not how the brain works. So we can make our thoughts more neutral, and I'll talk about that another time. But reframing your thoughts from very negative to very positive is just going to make you more anxious. So there is no way around it. Building a business can and will feel overwhelming, frustrating, and lonely at times. I'm an introvert, so I love being on my own, and one of the biggest shocks about being a solo entrepreneur was quite how lonely it is. And this is why being in community with other people picking glass out of their knees is so important. So expect the lows, plan them in, recognize when they're there, expect the highs, appreciate them when they're there, and keep going despite it. And get yourself into a community of other people that are in the arena. I have a community. If you're interested, reach out, send me a DM. Okay, so there you have it. The 4 biggest reasons solopreneurs fail. Number 1, they blend in and aren't consistent. They are generalists, not specialists. People want to work with specialists, not generalists. So to stand out, you have got to be yourself. Got to lean into all of your edges, all of those things on all those performance reviews where they told you you were too intense, you were too sensitive. Dial those up. Lean all the way in. That is what makes you special. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2 is they don't know what problem they actually solve. Speak to massive pain. Drop the coachy language, drop the consultant language. Speak in the words that keep your people awake at night. Okay. Number 3, they can't sell, and they're not talking about their offer enough. If you are not selling, you don't have a business. Think of selling as serving. You are trying to see if people in massive pain that you know how to fix. And if you don't know how to fix their massive pain, you have no business talking to them. So find something that you know how to fix and have the receipts for. So you're trying to see whether people in massive pain want help in solving their problems. And last but not least, they are not consistent, and they aren't prepared for the emotional cost of building a business. If any of these hit home, welcome. Welcome to the solopreneur life. Don't beat yourself up. You are a human being. Your brain is wired to survive, not to thrive. It is looking to save energy, avoid pain, and seek pleasure at all times. So going after big goals like this goes against everything we're wired to do. It is you versus evolution. Evolution is going to win every time. You need to switch the other parts on your brain that are more evolved. So if any of these hit home, be kind to yourself. They mean that you're in the mother trucking arena, giving it a go. Being in the arena day after day, keep being rejected, frustrated, doubt yourselves, and doing it anyway with oodles and oodles of self-compassion and grace is what separates the people who will make it from those that don't. And if you found this useful, make sure you are following. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple or wherever else you get your podcasts, I would love a 5-star review. It really helps other people to find us. And if you are watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit like and subscribe. And if you've got a question or a topic that you want me to cover, reach out, let me know, and I promise to read them. Until next time, be kind to yourself and good luck. All right, take care.